So today I want to talk about what your mind cannot do. Um, it's a really funny subject to consider this, but we use our mind, this thinking box up here, all day, every day, don't we? We never stop. I don't know about yours, but mine never shuts the chuff up. It just goes on and on and on all the time. Very rarely that it is quiet. And of course, the minute I notice it's quiet, I'm like, oh, what's going on? What's going on there? And then I'm thinking again. Um, and so I want to really kind of get into this subject of how we miss what your mind, how we misuse our mind, how we can use our mind really well. But today I want to really focus on what your mind cannot do, despite the fact you might try and do these things with your mind, which is completely normal. Don't get me wrong, we're all doing these things all the time. Me too. But here's a few things that your mind fundamentally cannot do, despite the fact you might try to. So let's talk about the past, first of all. Your mind cannot manage the past. It cannot resolve the past. It cannot redo the past. It cannot actually remember the past very well at all. Even in your first creation of a memory. So let's say something happens to you when you're a child, and at that moment a memory is created. That memory itself is wrong right from the beginning. Sorry, but it really is, because you're filtering through your own thinking right from the beginning. So you're only seeing the bits that fit what you already believe about the world. So let's say you're a little bit of an older child and you already don't feel very good about yourself. So something happens that is already layered over the top. Somebody looks at you funny, or that might be to do with their mood and them getting out of bed the wrong side, but you would interpret that as meaning something is wrong with you or you've done something wrong. And that's really cool to understand about memories and how they're created, because that means that every single time you go back to that memory and you try to, remember it, you're like redoing the memory. Do you see what I mean? Like the word remember is kind of pointing us to that, because we're redoing the memory. It isn't fresh. It isn't, even though it was wrong the first time. Now I've got another layer of beliefs and things, and this can show up in very interesting cases that I've heard about, where somebody has, kind of put a layer years after something has happened. They didn't, that thing didn't really affect them that much, and then later on in life they've discovered that kind of thing isn't supposed to be good for you as a child or whatever. And so now there's this trauma that actually is thinking about what happened to you in a negative way. So and we're using so many therapies and tools and techniques, which is great if they've worked for you. But this whole thing of going into the past, this whole thing of using the mind, the thinking about the past to create better thinking about the past, it's a lot of work for a very little compensation, shall we say, or improvement in your life experience. And that's what I'm about. Actually, I just want you to have a nicer life. And why not? Why shouldn't we all have a nice, happy, joyful life, which is possible despite your circumstances? Anyway, I'm going off track a little bit, but that's not like me at all. This So the past, I mean, I spent a lot of time doing work on myself around the past. So I did a lot of counselling, I did a lot of inner child work under hypnosis. I just did a lot of poking around in the dynamics of my early relationships when I was a child. It was exhausting, and it was also nonsense. I have one particular memory, you might have heard me share this before, where I say memory in inverted commas, but I went back under hypnosis. I didn't go back. Let's be absolutely clear about that. I was imagined to go back to a memory of my grandfather, my brother and I, where my brother, who's younger than me, was being given more attention than me as the older child, and I was disgruntled about that. And I told my mum this, and she said, well, that didn't happen because your granddad died before your brother was born. So So the whole thing was just a nonsense that my mind had made up to answer a question that I'd been asking under hypnosis, which was, why do I self-sabotage or some such thing? Because I didn't think I was worthy, because something happened. Oh, no, because the thoughts that I believe in the moment is what's really creating my experience, not the past. Not putting aside completely the idea that our conditioning has created the type of thinking I have now is different to the type of thinking other people have because of the the experiences that I've had. Just realise that's just talking really fast. I can feel that in my body. I can kind of feel that. It's good to notice, isn't it? When you just realise you've really sped up. I really sped up then. I get so excited sometimes. So let's just talk about the future. We've talked about the past. Let's briefly talk about the future. We misuse our mind. Our mind cannot do anything to do with the future. Any moment that you go there, know that that is not a place where your mind is of any use. Because the trouble is with the mind, it's really good at being creative. It's very good at that. So the minute you go off into the future, that creation process begins. Firstly, inside your head, and then secondly, possibly bringing to life things because then how you are looking at the future affects how you behave in the present moment, and then you begin to kind of almost snowball yourself, like a snowball rolling down the hill towards that thing. Nothing ever quite works out the same, but you may have noticed that as you think heavily a lot about something in the future, you end up just tripping over yourself in the present, really. And it's almost like, it is like tripping over, isn't it? It's like you're looking, imagine if you're walking along and you're looking at the pavement like way, way ahead. Like you do have to look a bit ahead, don't you? Because you have to watch out for the dog poo. That's what I find on my walks most of the time. But that's just right there. It's the next step, isn't it? Next step. Imagine if you're walking along and you're looking as far as you possibly can into the distance. Well, you're probably, looking past all the people and the obstacles and the cracks in the pavement. You're going to end up flat on your face within a very short space of time because you're not in the present moment. Your mind is really rubbish at doing things in the future because it can't do things in the future. It can only think about things. Now, the great thing about this is that when you think about the past, or you think about the future, or maybe you think what other people are thinking about you, or thinking about anything, you don't know that either. Your mind cannot do that. Your mind cannot mind read. I know that's a thing that people do on a stage, but it's not a real thing. Whenever you try to do any of these things, whenever your thinking goes towards something that your mind cannot do, great news is that your body goes, what the actual chuff are you doing? it wants you to stop, and it guides you to stop doing that by the sensations that then materialize in your body, the uncomfortable sensations. It's not nice. It's not a nice feeling when you are trying to do things that your mind is not good at. Your body goes, hey, hang on, do you want to just stop that kind of thinking? Because that kind of thinking isn't really working for you. It's not helpful. And that's just really, it's just such a powerful tool. And so almost this video becomes redundant. Yay, me making a redundant video, because I could stand here and list, don't think about the past, don't think about the future, don't think about what the people are thinking, don't try and fight your inner critic, don't believe your inner critic, your thinking doesn't actually know about you. Oh, that's another one. It tries to get its oar in, your thinking doesn't know anything about you at all, not what you can do right now. But actually, we don't need any of that, because this is what I'm just seeing as I'm saying this. This is the moment when my tinnitus just decided to turn up in my ears. Nice. This is the power of our emotions as a guide in our lives. They are directly connected to your inner guidance system. When you are feeling emotionally uncomfortable, you're feeling tense, you're feeling tight, you've got raging, angry butterflies in your stomach. There's a lot like going on. Like just then when I started to speak really fast, which I've done again, I realised, I noticed there was like this almost panic to get the words out, and I could feel that in my body. It doesn't mean what I'm saying is off. It means that there was some kind of underlying speed required for this to get it done. And I know what that is. It's me, because I've got a few things I want to get done this morning. So get to the end of the video and then I can go off and do my other things. And we all know that ticking things off our list doesn't actually create our feelings, don't we? I know that some days and some hours, but perhaps not all of them. So your system, your emotional system, is just geared up for this. Like, it's so clever, because always it's guiding you and saying, your thinking is off right now. And how do you know that? Well, because it feels bad. Our emotions have been demonized, they've been put upon, they've been made into diseases, and they are not. Our emotions 100% of the time are just letting us know that there might be some hot burny thinking that we might want to put down. Amazing. That's how we know what our mind cannot do. Because whenever it goes to do something it cannot do, your body is going to go, hey, knock it on the head. Stop it now. And that's just amazing. Like super amazing and super powerful. So I hope that's been helpful. If a little fast, about what, sometimes you can watch videos on 2 times. Do not watch this on 2 times speed if you're watching it anywhere other than live, or don't listen to it on Spotify at 2 times speed. You'll go mad. But actually, one thing I do want to say is that I do have a course, which I'm just trying to find the name of, because it's here somewhere. So I've got a course on Insight Timer that's all about this. It's called Unveil the Power of Your Mind and Reclaim Inner Calm. So if you want to check that out, I'm sure if you connect with me wherever you're listening to this, you'll be able to find my Insight Timer profile. Just search Clare Downham on Insight Timer. It's not particularly difficult. And maybe I'll see you in that course, and you can ask me lots of lovely questions in there too. Or you can ask me a question here if you want, of course. Yeah, I hope that's been helpful. And if you'd like to learn how to use your mind a little bit better, then perhaps we should have a chat. Take care. Lots of love. Thanks for dropping by.